Our next guest is a Princeton alum who was salutatorian, Pies Prize winner, and a Marshall Scholar, a recipient of the National Endowment for the Humanities and Guggenheim Fellowships, and is now a history professor who wants you and the world to pay attention to attention. Please welcome Professor Burnett to All Nighter.
Hello, welcome to All Nighter.
Wow, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so moved by all of it, and I'm terrified.
Yay! All right. We get that a lot. We want to start out with a little icebreaker because you were a student at Princeton and now a professor at Princeton. Would you give us a little rosebud thorn of all your time at Princeton?
Oh, wow. Let's see. Can you remind me what the rose
Rose
is
is
something?
a positive thing.
Right.
The bud is something you're looking forward to, and the thorn is like a negative experience. But we want to hear about all of it.
Well, maybe I'll start with a bud.
Okay.
So the truth is, shout out here, I'm doing a class right now. I'm really enjoying it. I have 32 extremely hardworking students in that class. And it is a class on attention, as you said. And I actually asked the students in a recent session if any of them used AI at all. Mm-hmm. And there's this kind of beautiful, kind of exquisite silence. Faces. And I was sort of like, there's all kinds of interesting things you can do using AI, and there's different tools. Some of you must have used it once or twice. So then I kind of energetically showed them some stuff because one of the assignments in my class, for which I'll have you know I had to get special permission from the history department, because the truth is the history department actually initially wrote rules that you couldn't do any AI things at all, but I wanted to have an assignment where the students would have a conversation with AI about my class. So I've assigned them that. And so my bud for Princeton at this time is waiting for those assignments because I'm very excited about them. I taught them how to make character AI so that they could actually invent characters for themselves to have conversations with my class about, or historical characters, because I'm a historian, so I personally have a little Rene Descartes character AI who sends me text messages. I kind of tuned it up it's got a lot of Descartes stuff, because I wrote a small book on Descartes, but it's kind of like incredibly special to be able to get actual text messages from Descartes. So that's my bud. A rose, the truth is, no, there's so many, I'm gonna get all choked up or whatnot. The truth is I really do kind of love it here. And I've sort of loved it here since I was a zygote, which is kind of embarrassing because my dad was here too, and sort of blah, blah, blah. So how to pick a moment, there were roses that I probably shouldn't remember from being dragged to reunions as a teenager. Those were some very special times in my life that I matured. And it seems like I would be able to come up with something better for an occasion like this than that. But I'll do a serious rose, and then I'll do a slightly playful thorn. Straight up, my beloved father came here as a Midwestern scholarship boy in 1962, and he came here for one reason, which was that he knew how to play the organ. And in those days, every class at Princeton had to have one person who could play the organ, because there was still chapel, yo. You didn't know that, did you? 1962, y'all wouldn't have been doing this, you would have been in the chapel. And my dad would have been playing the organ. And so, it's kind of moving for me because now my office is in McCosh, so when I hear the organ being played, the truth is there's no way I would have gotten in as an undergrad if I had not been a legacy. So in that sense, when I hear the organ, I think about how my life was made by that organ. So that's my thank you. Yeah, and I Actually, I had dinner with my dad just this evening, who lives just a couple blocks from campus. Thorn, though, and this may hit a little closer to home, I was just a total unbelievable dork when I was on campus. I was just saying to my partner who's here with me tonight that actually the truth is it's really fun for me to see you kids having a great time on a Friday night, because I did not go out once in my 4 years here. And somebody said I was like the salutatorian, which is true, which means I got to speak in Latin at graduation, but nobody in my class recognized it. They're all like, is that guy in our class? Which was because I was in the library all 4 years. And on my JP, I worked incredibly hard. I got an A+. And when I thank you. And the thorn is that I handed in my JP and was basically immediately hospitalized for a peptic ulcer caused by the stress of that. So if you guys think you're working hard, back in my day, we didn't even have knees. We had to do all that bending from the waist. And we worked hard.
On that note, you mentioned that you are a scholar of attention, and you are also a historian by trade. So, could you tell us a little bit more about the early history of attention and kind of how did this field start?
Totally, great. Yeah, so we'll do like 1 minute on semi-serious things, and we won't get too serious, but it's true. I'm a historian of science. I would love it if all of y'all took some like history of science classes. It's a really great field. It's the first class I took at Princeton when I showed up was a history of science class. I went to office hours like second week, and I was basically like, I want to do what you do, and then that happened. So I'm here doing it. And what I study is the history of attention, meaning I study the scientific research on human attention in the 19th and 20th century. And I got interested in that, of course, because, as we all know, there's a really powerful, new, relatively strange industry that's emerged in the last 20 years, which commodifies attention, turns our attention into money. And I think a lot of people, me included, thinks that there are ways in which that attention economy is sort of bad for humans and other animals. So I got interested in historicizing how attention got sliced and diced in laboratories en route to being priced in the marketplace. And that is what the class I'm teaching now, and I saw a couple of my students here, which always makes me happy. And that's what I do my research on, too. So when you say how the field got started, Hegel has that great phrase, right? The owl of Minerva flies at dusk. The owl of Minerva flies at dusk, which is a way of saying, like, wisdom only starts at the end of the day. And I think we didn't really know that attention was a thing that we had to think about until our attention was under a sort of continuous thermonuclear economic assault, $4 trillion industry, all the most brilliant school leavers going out there, most powerful algorithmic technologies, and most of the deepest pocketed finance capitalists. So as we began to be like, wow, I used to pay attention, then historians are like, yeah, what was attention anyway? And then we start studying it. So the field has really been born, I would say that is the field of people who think historically and anthropologically and sociologically about attention in this moment of like crisis.
Fantastic.
You know, I mean, can I do one, we sometimes talk in terms of fracking.
Yes, I was just about to ask. You're
Yeah.
known for a phrase called human fracking. Can you tell us what is that?
I
What's
do,
that mean?
yeah. I mean, the attention economy sounds kind of sweet, and you can tell your aunt that you're really interested in marketing and the attention economy, and she's like, "That's wonderful." I'm working for a rebrand on that, and we've had some modest success so far, encouraging people not to say attention economy, but rather to say human fracking. And the difference, yeah, it's got a different
Something else about that,
but the analogy is perfect, right?
Yeah.
I mean, petroleum fracking, like in the old days, you used to be able to just stick a drill into the ground here and there, and there would be like a big fat zit of oil that would just gush her up or whatnot. There's none of that left, no oil zits left. So to get oil out of the earth now, you have to pump down into the ground high pressure, high volume detergent, which disrupts the tectonic structure of the deep earth, dissolves the petroleum and natural gas into a kind of nasty slurry, which is then driven up to the surface by the pressure of the pump down. And then you kind of separate out the monetizable bits of that stuff, the toxins are bad for the groundwater and whatnot, and you have these side effects of earthquakes and things like that. This is exactly what our devices do to us. They pump into our faces high pressure, high volume detergent in the form of sort of low quality, relatively toxic, nonstop flows of stuff that bring to the surface our energies, our passions, our attention, which is then continuously auctioned, as you all already know, to the highest bidder on the sideline. So our energies these days are on sort of what we think of as attention activism. So all the things that you are, many of you, already doing, no doubt, which can't be financialized in the attention economy. So that could be everything from macrame to rock climbing to bonsai tree clipping or whatnot. We want people to think about those things as part of a collective social movement to push back against an industry that I think does not have our best interests at heart.
Yeah, that's great.
friendsofattention.net online, Strother School of Radical Attention, and BK for anybody who wants to make a trip up to New York. That's where the action is happening.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We'd now like to play a game.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
I was doing like Scheherazade, that if I kept trying to say interesting things, you wouldn't present me with the
No, we have to do the game.
Yeah.
Our game is, how's your attention span? We are going to play this. We have slides. Okay, here's how it's gonna work. We're gonna do 3 rounds of attention-related games that us and our fantastic interview and writers team have created recently. I'll explain the rounds as we go. Round 1, we're going to do a spot the difference. I'm gonna put an image on screen. We're gonna take it away for a few seconds. We're gonna put it back up. You're gonna tell us and you're gonna spot all the differences, and we will see if you succeed. It's round 1. Could we get the start of our game? Okay, process this, take it in, pay attention as the slide said. Mm-hmm. Got it? Feel good?
Well.
All right, let's take it away. I believe there are 7 differences. Can you spot them all?
I think so.
Okay.
I can't believe you found that song cool. You found a picture of my mother. You stuck it in there, didn't you? Oh my God, I can't believe that. That's so wrong. They did it. It's okay. I just made that up. Yeah. Okay, I think I've got them.
Yes.
The one guy in the middle, his head is like kind of larger than it was before. Is that?
Yeah. So that's one.
That's one.
That's one.
Yeah, and wait. Yeah, that is Luigi
That is
Mangione.
Luigi.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. Geez, I'm kind of coming up with the. Wait a second. There's something going on up at the upper right hand corner.
Right.
Yeah.
3. There are 7 differences.
7.
Plus you. Yeah, you already found yourself. Yeah.
I see myself. Yes. The guy. That person had a shirt on before. Right?
He wasn't there. You'd be correct. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a worm, but I think that was in a different place on the other one, right?
Yeah, that's 6. Yeah. One more.
You filled in different stuff on the phone.
Yes.
Yeah,
Woo! 7.
that was pretty good. Thank you.
You round 2, we are going to, there's a timer on the slide. We're going to ask you to name 20 cetaceans in 30 seconds because you wrote a book which are porpoises and whales. In 30 seconds.
Cetaceans, right? Cetaceans.
And our house band's going to play some music while you do this.
Yeah.
Could we get the timer? Ready? Go! 30 or 20.
Wait, you're not fin whales, blue whales, beluga whales. Let's see, porpoises, Tursiops truncatus. You got false belugas. You got Dahl's porpoise. You got what? I wanted another crack at that. I was like waiting for the porpoises to come up. They were never coming on.
Now we have one final task.
Yes, and that is
which we are going to ask you to sit here.
you're gonna come sit with me.
There's going to be a video on the screen. We're going to ask you to assemble a Jenga tower, and I'm going to read you a story while you do these things. At the end of the story, we're going to ask you a few questions about it.
If you want, you could not sit with your back.
Well, he has to watch the video.
Actually, I'm lying.
You have to watch the video and play Jenga, and you can put the microphone down while you do this because I'm just going to read a story.
Yeah.
All right,
I can hold that for you.
could we get the video
Wait,
going?
am I allowed to ask? I've never made a Jenga tower.
Try your best. Isis will.
I can build it with you.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be collaborative.
Actually, quite know what a Jenga tower is.
It's on the box.
Okay.
Yeah. Like you see.
Okay.
All right. So let's just build.
Ready?
Okay.
But you also have to watch the video.
I understand.
All right. Terrare, sometimes spelled terroir, was a French showman, soldier, and spy noted for his unusual appetite and eating habits. Able to eat vast amounts of meat, he was constantly hungry. His parents could not provide for him, and he was turned out of the family home as a teenager. He traveled around France in the company of a band of prostitutes and thieves before becoming the warm-up act for a traveling charlatan. In this act, he swallows corks, stones, live animals, and a whole basket full of apples. He then took this act to Paris, where he worked as a street performer. At the start of the war of the First Coalition, Terrare joined the French Revolutionary Army, where even quadrupling the standard military ration was unable to satisfy his large appetite. He ate any available food from gutters and rubbish heaps, but his condition still deteriorated through hunger. He was hospitalized due to exhaustion, then became subject to a series of medical experiments in which, among other things, he ate a meal in a single sitting, and ate live cake, steaks, and eaten as well. He also without chewing. Okay. Can we get the questions?
And this is for you again.
Can I say a quick thing? This is exactly the test that they used to run on U.S. pilots in the Air Force, and then I'd see how much stuff they could take in, except they would gradually deoxygenate them by putting them on a rebreather at the same time so that you'd... but anyway, I was glad you didn't do
Yeah, we
that.
couldn't get that.
Thanks.
Next time.
Okay.
Question 1. Which of these did Terrare not eat? 1. A. Corks. B. Live animals. C. Jenga blocks. 4. Apples.
There's one that he didn't eat?
1 that he didn't eat.
Well, Jenga blocks he didn't eat.
That would be correct. Which of these occupations did he not take on? Showman, competitive eater, spy, or soldier?
He was not a competitive eater.
That is correct.
Yeah.
He just ate a lot. Last up, what was his nationality?
He was French.